Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. Teresa Whipple here and Steve Willits. We had basketball this weekend.
A lot of basketball happening at the Tacoma Dome. State championships this weekend.
That's right, and we're going to get to that in just a moment along with some other interesting things. But first, I'd like to recognize again our sponsor, Carrie Krause, who we really appreciate her support. And she wants you to know that regardless of the real estate transaction, she is here to help you 100%. So whether it's a single-family residential, multifamily, condos, vacant land, commercial property, or even a business opportunity, Carrie can assist you. And even if she can't help, she will refer you to the best person for the job. Carrie takes pride in her work ethic and will go the extra mile to be sure that your buying or selling experience is positive. So call, text, or email anytime with questions or to get her working for you towards your real estate goals.
And since we're talking about athletics, Carrie Krause ran a 15K this morning. So Carrie, I know she watches our broadcasts every week. We appreciate the sponsorship and congratulations on completing 9.3 miles.
Boy, that's great. Yeah, congrats, Carrie. Okay, so basketball.
Yeah, but first we should probably mention what Edmonds-Woodway did.
Oh, yes. If you were in downtown Edmonds. When was that? Last week?
That was on Wednesday.
Wednesday,
the
yes.
State tournament started on Thursday.
Around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you might have seen some hubbub.
There was quite a bit of that. And for those who watched us last week, they know that Mike Burdett, who is the father of the two starting guards for the Edmonds-Woodway girls basketball team that made it to state, he told his team that if they made it to the state tournament, he would run down Main Street in Edmonds in a Speedo. And fortunately or unfortunately for us, I don't know how you want to look at it, he held true to his word. And on Wednesday, and I think we have video right here, he ran down the street right around rush hour.
Okay, let's take a look at that.
Okay, I'm sucking it in.
There we go, we got the initials. I hope Periscope's working.
That's the play-by-play
The Caspers
right
are
there.
recording just in
Taking
case,
off
I
the
hope.
pants, throwing them in the car.
Get
He had
behind me.
a car preceding
Behind me,
him
go.
down the street,
Hurry,
right?
please.
There he goes. Best part of that is he actually had a team of players from one of his select teams that he coaches running behind him with a sign to make sure that certain parts were, I guess, covered up. Right?
I thought the best part of the video was that we kept it short and didn't show the entire thing.
It's true.
Some of
Because
us
it
who were
did go on
present,
for a while.
It did, and I saw more of Mike than I ever want to see. And
well, and you know what, Mike, we're giving you a hard time, but the truth is that, you know, that was really great that you made good on your bet, and something I'm sure everybody will never forget.
Yeah, they won't forget that, and they also won't forget what happened the next day at the Tacoma Dome as the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors basketball team headed down to take part in an 8-team tournament. They were one of the finals left to try to win the state championship. They drew Kamiakin in the first round, and we were fortunate enough to have Maddie Burdett and Missy Peterson in studio last week. And the girls got off to a bit of a slow start. That's an understatement. They fell behind 31-8. But to their credit, they didn't give up, and not only did they come back, but they actually ended up taking the lead at one point in that game. End up falling at the end. The final score was 56-54, but certainly not for a lack of effort. Maybe the game of the weekend. And this was a tournament that had 3A and 4A boys and girls teams, so 32 teams total. And this game was about as exciting as you get down there. And Adrian Poling, the freshman, had 12 points. She hit a couple of three-pointers. Missy Peterson, 11.7 rebounds. Maddie Tudor, who had transferred this year from Moses Lake, she had 9 points, 9 rebounds. And then Maddie Burdett, 9 points and 6 rebounds. So then after losing that game, the girls had to regroup. It's a double elimination tournament. At that point, they couldn't win the state championship, but they could still place. And so the very next day, they turned around and played Lincoln. And that final was 50-42 in favor of the Warriors. So they got a nice victory. Really, the storyline of this game was Maddie Burdett scoring 11 points in the first 3.5 minutes. They jumped out to a 19-9 lead and held on and defeated the Abes from down in Tacoma. And that meant that Edmonds-Woodway got to play on Saturday in a game that would determine whether or not they took home a 4th place or a 6th place trophy. Unfortunately for them, they took the latter of the trophies as they lost to Mount Spokane 58-42. Missy Peterson, 18 points and 7 rebounds in that game. Missy, by the way, was named to one of the all-tournament teams, which is an honor bestowed upon 10 of the girls that played throughout the weekend, who the media feels played the best. So she was one of the 10 players selected to that team. But all in all, Edmonds-Woodway takes 6th place in the state out of 65 teams that play 3A girls basketball. We mentioned this before, and we'll mention it again. The Warriors I think if you count the Tacoma Dome experience, 6 times in the last 3 weeks they've played a loser-out game, meaning they've had to win a game in order to continue on in the playoffs and the tournaments, whether it be districts, regionals, or state. All 6 times they had their backs against the wall. They came out victorious. So a great season for them. Rebecca Wells, the head coach, and her staff, and all of the young ladies that play on that team, couldn't be more proud of what they've done this year.
Yeah, they really did a great job and really showed a lot of grit and determination. It was really proud to have them represent us down there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And Lynnwood, of course, that's the other story.
Yeah, Lynnwood, always a story when it comes to basketball, at least in the last few years. This is the defending champions of the state, the Lynnwood Royals, team that was ranked #1 going into the Tacoma Dome tournament. Got a nice victory in the first game against Prairie. Then they went to the semifinals where Bellevue was waiting for them. 2 top teams in the state. Unfortunately, they dropped that game. Came back and won the next day to take the 3rd place trophy. And rather than us tell you anything more about that game or give you stats, we had the opportunity earlier today to speak with Coach Everett Edwards and his daughter Jordyn on not only the success of the team this year, but really what the last few years have meant. Here's that interview. And as we just mentioned, the Lynnwood Royals completing their weekend at the Tacoma Dome. And with us right now, the head coach of the Lynnwood Royals, Everett Edwards.
Hello.
Everett.
Thank you for having us.
Good to have you here. And his daughter, Jordyn Edwards. Jordyn,
Hi.
thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
These two playing a huge role in obviously all of the success that Lynnwood's had this year. Everett, 9th year of head coach at Lynnwood.
Yes, sir. 9th year.
9th year. Jordyn has been all-league player for a couple of years now, and still bringing that defense right up until the very end. And we want to talk a little bit about the Tacoma Dome experience. Certainly, getting there obviously is never an easy task. You've done it 3 years in a row.
Yeah, we had it a little bit tougher, it seemed, this year, in that we drew a tough West Seattle team for our regional game. So that caused a little bit more stress and a lot more preparation that we had to do. But we were very thankful and fortunate to get that win and move on to the Tacoma Dome.
Well, you made it look easy, though. I mean, that was a West Seattle team that was ranked 4th, but you beat them fairly handily. Then you went down and you drew Prairie in the first round in Tacoma on Thursday night. A Prairie team that, Jordyn, you had actually played last year in a summer league game, correct?
Yeah, the funny thing is I have a pretty bad memory when it comes to some games, and I couldn't even remember playing them. But yeah, it was cool to see them again.
And I remember it very well.
Of course, Dad does, yeah.
Semifinal game down at Oregon City, one of the biggest summer tournaments for that time. And yeah, we played Prairie in a very tough game, and we went on and played Central Valley actually in the championship game after that. So I remember that very well.
That's the Central Valley team that actually ended up being the 4A state champions at the Tacoma Dome over the weekend. But getting back to 3A, a first-round game against Prairie this year, a very tough matchup. Only ahead by 2 at the half. You pulled away a little bit in the second half for a 46-37 victory. Any surprises in that game from as opposed to the first matchup?
You know, I wish we probably would have played a little bit better offense, right? You know what I mean? But they packed it into their zone and did some great things defensively. And Sharice Doherty is just a great player, and she required some extra attention from us defensively. But yeah, they played a style that did well against us for that particular day. But thankfully, we did well in the second half and got a little bit of separation and held on for the win. And
this young lady right here did have 15 points in that game. The very next night was the big matchup that I think a lot of us had been anticipating all year long. A lot of us were hoping it would be a state championship game. Unfortunately, the WIAA, the way they drew the brackets this year, it ended up being a semifinal game.
Yes.
Lynnwood versus Bellevue, 1 versus 2 in all of the rankings. Both teams ranked in the top 20 in the nation.
Yes.
Matchup we were thinking was going to come to fruition at some point in the season, and it did. Very interesting game, a very tough first half.
It was a very good game. It was very competitive. I felt like the first half went about the way I thought that it would, all the way through. And then Bellevue had a couple of players get loose from us and hit some big three-point shots, and they were able to get some separation, you know. And so once we kind of got down by about 10 points, we had a tough time getting out of that hole. And but they're a very talented team with great players and great coaches, and we're glad we had a chance to play. And we wish it would have been for the championship. But that being said, it was great to experience the atmosphere. It was one that with the Garfield Rainier Beach right before that game, and then people came out to watch our game. It was just a very crowded Tacoma Dome, and we had all the bands rocking and rolling, and it was just a tremendous atmosphere, and we're glad to be a part of that.
And Jordyn, now obviously you played in the state championship game last year, a game that they won, by the way. Just a reminder. Did this have a feel of a state championship game to you?
Honestly, yeah, it did. It would have been honestly perfect just to see them on Saturday, just to have that final matchup with them. But yeah, last year it was pretty similar in the feeling that it was just so intense, and they have good players and we have good players, and it was just a matchup that was really exciting.
So again, final score, Bellevue 73, Lynnwood 60. By no means did it mean that your season came to an end, though. You then turned around the next day, and I would imagine you were a little bit upset, your first loss of the year, and I pitied poor Kamayakan for having to play you, knowing that you were coming off of a loss. You took a 35-11 lead at halftime. You end up winning that game 64-27 to take a third-place trophy. Jordyn, what did it mean to you and to your teammates to leave the Tacoma Dome and end your careers on a win?
Yeah, it was kind of a bittersweet moment, obviously, with losing against Bellevue, but we're really, really glad and lucky just to be able to end on a good note and positive win. And it was really special for me and Michaela just to lead our team in one final last game that we got to be happy. Instead of having Friday be our last game, we got to end with happy tears, knowing that we ended on a good note.
And Coach, for you, what did you have to say to the girls before that game? I mean, knowing that they're coming off of a loss, you know that they're going to be prepared. Did you have to coach them up much?
Yeah, it really started Friday after the loss to Bellevue. It was a very emotional locker room for us, in that we were very sad that we didn't beat Bellevue and move on to the championship game. But that being said, the battle cry was that it's not our last game. We get an opportunity to play again tomorrow, and we must do whatever it takes to win that last game. And thankfully, we played good basketball from the start and got the win.
So this is your 9th year as the head coach. I think the last, if I'm doing the math in my head, the last 6 have been coaching one of, or at times 2 of your daughters.
Yes.
This one here now graduating. What have the last 6 years been like for you as Everett Edwards, the father, maybe more so than the coach?
It's been truly wonderful. It's been an experience that not a lot of people get to experience, and it's something that being able to coach Jasmine for 2 years, and then having Jordyn coming in and having them both for the next 2 years, and then have Jordyn for the final 2. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's just one of those things. For the last 6 years, it's been great for me to be a part of my daughter's lives and to be able to try to make basketball fun for them.
And in those 6 years, 6 Wesco titles too, not too bad. Jordyn, what about you? What has it been like for you to play with your dad, to win a state championship with your dad, as well as 2 third-place finishes at state?
Yeah, for me, it's always been fun. It's so much more special having family involved because we get to talk about it for the rest of our lives. And even though I missed Jazzy these past couple years, I'm glad we got to experience the Tacoma Dome, even though we didn't get the chance to win it. But having last year be as special as winning the championship with my dad, it was just great. Yeah.
Being at the Tacoma Dome, by the way, Everett, for you, you were able to watch Jazzy play one night after one of the games, correct?
Yes, Thursday, the Central Wildcats, who Jazz plays for, had a playoff game versus Simon Fraser. So as soon as our game against Prairie was over, we had to hop into a car, my wife and I, and drive down and go support Jazz. So it was a situation that they didn't come out on top that night, and their season ended, but it was great to be there to support her.
And St. Martin's College, not too far away from the
That's
Tacoma
right,
Dome, so
St.
that worked
Martin's
out.
College. Yeah,
Rather,
I wasn't speeding at all either, during the speed limit.
Definitely not. Hey, you're going to be playing at Colorado State next year, Jordyn. What went into that decision, and talk to us a little bit about your future there?
Yeah, I kind of say the same thing to everyone, and I know they want more of an answer, but I got that typical feeling that pretty much everyone gets. I got the feeling in my gut that this was pretty much the right place for me. When I visited, I got to hang out with the team, which was really, really helpful because that's really important to me. And the coaches are hilarious, and they were all so welcoming, and I'm super excited to go down for summer school. And I'm going to take a couple classes down there and just be able to hang out with the team.
So Jordyn heading off to Colorado State next season. This guy here, I'm kind of curious as to what his plans are for next year. There was a lot of talk along press row at the Tacoma Dome. Coach Edwards, now that his youngest daughter is graduating, will he be back next year? What are your plans for next year?
Yeah, we're going to take a little bit of time. We're going to take the next 30 or so days and kind of take a break from basketball a little bit and kind of soul search and kind of make a decision from there. So it's a very emotional thing. It's been almost 10 years that I've been coaching at Lynnwood, and I don't want to make a rush decision either way. So we're going to kind of take a little bit of time off and make a decision about a month or so from now.
Sure. And to wrap up the entire weekend, really not just looking at the 3A tournament, but the 4A, 2A, and 1A, if we want to go there, really Snohomish, the runner-up in the 4A girls state championship game.
Yes.
Edmonds-Woodway places 6th at the tournament. Arlington, who you defeated in the district championship game, they ended up making it to the state championship game against Bellevue, and they lose that game. Kings girls lose in their championship game over in the 1A. Shorecrest girls, state champions in the 2A. What is it with all the talent around here right now?
And we didn't even mention Coach Hill and the Glacier Peak Grizzlies,
Absolutely.
who had some injuries. Otherwise, they would have had a great opportunity. I didn't even talk about Stanwood and Coach Clokey and what they've done, and Shorewood and Coach Hayner. And I just feel that we have great coaches around our league, and what a great thing for Dory and the Shorecrest Scots to be able to win a championship is great. And Coach Joe with Arlington. We just got a great group of coaches, and I'm just very honored to be among them. It's very competitive. It's very competitive, and it's kind of one of those things I take a lot of pride in playing at the highest level and having great athletes, but the camaraderie that we have as coaches is something else that I will never forget, man, and the friendships that have been made from that is just a great thing.
Yeah, it's been a great year indeed. And now moving forward, Jordyn, this coming spring, next week, I guess, you start track practice.
Yeah,
talk to us a little bit about that.
I think I'm going to have to take a couple of days just to rest and get my body back to being healthy. I think I'm going to go to track practice on Wednesday this week, and I'm excited about it. I do really love basketball a lot more than track, but it's my head coach's track 50th year, right, coaching, and he's been a majority at Lynnwood High School, and I'm really excited to just have this last senior year with him and finish strong with the team. And
Coach, give me your assessment, not as Coach Edwards, the basketball coach, but Dad Edwards, the track and field dad. What do you think this young lady's going to do on the track this year?
Well, she won state in the 400 last year, and she won state as far as a 4x4 team in the 400 relay. She competed in the 200 as well and made the final 8. I think she placed 4th or 5th in that. And so she's a phenomenal athlete. She's blessed with her mom's speed and good looks, right? And so it's something that I'm very proud of, and it's great for me because hopefully the weather will be nice, and I have my Diet Coke and popcorn, and I'll be out there rooting for all the girls. And we've had an influx of Lynnwood girls and boys basketball players that are turning out for track this year. So there's an excitement amongst the kids because we have the most numbers that we've had turning out for track in a long, long time. So Coach Lewis is the track coach that Jordyn is talking about that has been coaching track for 50-plus years. He's just a great influence, a great inspiration, and we're excited to do the best we could do this year and try to do better than our 3rd-place finish last year. We had a very good year last year, and I think we have a number of athletes that are already there, and with the newness that we have, hopefully we could do even better.
So we will see. But to wrap up basketball once again, it's been so much fun. Top 3 finishes at state the last 3 years. Yeah. State championship last year, undefeated up until the state playoffs this year. And Jordyn, not just you, but to Michaela Pivick, who might end up winning the Gatorade Player of the Year for the 2nd year in a row in the state. We'll see. And to really all of your teammates, it's been a joy to watch all of you, and thanks for the thrills and the excitement. And we certainly wish you the best, not only in track in the spring, but also at Colorado State. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Coach Edwards, thank you for your time as
Steve.
always.
Appreciate all your coverage of high school athletics, boys and girls, and even wrestling now. You guys are all over the place.
And we're going to track and tennis and everything else coming up and swimming. So
we appreciate it.
We'll keep covering it. So again, we thank them for coming on. And if you want to watch Jordyn this spring, get on out to the track. And if you want to come hang out with Coach Edwards here, bring your popcorn and your Diet Coke and grab a seat, and let's see what happens. Thank you once again.
Go Royals.
All right. What a story about a father and daughter who have really seen success, and they seem to have a wonderful relationship too.
Yeah, the Edwards family, we've come to know them over the last couple of years. Great people and really a great team all around. We really enjoyed covering the Lynnwood Royals for the last few years and getting to know some of those young ladies and their parents and the coaching staff for that matter.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got spring sports. I can't believe it, but we're actually starting spring sports this week.
I guess one season has come to an end, so another one must begin.
The next one, yeah. I know. Well, and just as a recap of what's coming up, we start with baseball, a jamboree with Meadowdale High School at Woodinville. That's generally what happens with baseball is the teams play jamborees to kind of kick off their season, as well as the softball players. And then Saturday, Lynnwood and Edmonds-Woodway are also participating in a jamboree at Shorecrest High School. Mount Lake Terrace is not going to do a jamboree, but they're going to start with games the following week. So we'll have more on that next week when we come back for next week's show. Soccer, with boys soccer, all the teams have non-league games starting this Saturday, March 12th. So, and check Wesco Athletics for any of the schedules if you want to know exactly what time and where the teams are playing. Softball, all of our teams are playing in the same jamboree. So if you want to see them all, this is your chance. This Saturday, March 12th, the Lynnwood Jamboree. So Lynnwood High School will be hosting. And then tennis and track, they're all starting next week. So we'll be talking more as time goes on about individual performances and kind of how the teams are doing.
So what you're saying is we won't have a shortage of things to talk about.
We never have a shortage of things to talk about. Yeah, but it'll be exciting. I think our teams generally do pretty well. You know, from high school to high school, we have some good spring sports to look forward to, and we'll be back again next week, unless I've forgotten anything that you wanted to mention.
No, I think we've covered it all. Once again, we have enjoyed immensely covering all of these winter sports, all 4 of the schools. Congratulations to not only those that have gone on to win state tournaments, so whether it be Edmonds-Woodway wrestlers or whomever it might be, but just for everybody who participated and for allowing us to come into your lives and to cover these sports. We've enjoyed every moment of it.
Yes, we have. And you know what? I just realized, I knew I was going to do this. I forgot one very important sport when I was talking about the recap, and that's golf. Boys and girls golf will also be kicking off their seasons, teeing off their seasons. Teeing off their seasons next week. So sorry, golfers, I didn't mean to leave you out. But yeah, as Steve said, what he said, we've had a blast covering winter sports, and we look forward to coming up with spring next week.